Hello, I'm Milosz Rewiński and you're watching TVP World Talks, where every word matters. Now, the discussion about AI has been raging on for many months now, years even, but mostly in a civilian context. The question of copyright, the question of AI possibly infringing upon the domain of human creativity. But this is just the beginning. AI can also be used in military applications, and this is where the real debate begins. And in order to talk about this, but also about another debate, one between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, we've invited our guest today, Magdalena M, Baran Editor-in-Chief at Liberte. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, good morning.
So let's begin with AI. Do you think the REAIM initiative, it's holding a summit in Seoul, South Korea, the second in a series which began back in 2023, could it really make a difference, do you think?
I think it should make a difference. If it will, well, we'll see. You mentioned the summit last year in Amsterdam, and in fact this year it was a continuation and also without, I would say, legal recommendation. But there is also another initiative, since you mentioned Kamala Harris. So the White House announced last year, it was, if I remember it correctly, November 13th, also the declaration about the use of AI in military. And
indeed, it's called the Political Declaration on Responsible Military Use of Artificial Intelligence and Autonomy, often shortened to Political Declaration. To what extent do you think these two regimes are competing against one another?
Oh, well, since we talk about, from one side we have the, let's say, the Western world, from the other side we have China, and China is present during this conference, was present during this conference in Seoul. I think that for all the regimes all over the world, it is necessary to establish the, how it was said by the Ministry of Defense of South Korea, Kim Yong-hyun. He said that we need to think about the minimal about the minimum rules of responsible use of the AI. And some time ago, I even had two students who wrote a thesis, MA, about the autonomous weapon systems. One of the tasks we have right now, and the autonomous weapon systems, we think about, speaking about autonomous weapon systems, we have in mind drones that will be fully automatic. And I took part in a conference some time ago when we discussed, is it possible for this kind of weapon to have to be ethical? And there is a informatic, Ronald Arkin, and he thought that it is necessary for such a weapon to have two components in a program written by, of course, for informatics. So ethical governor and responsibility advisor. And this component should be able to help to decide, in fact, for example, about shooting and about killing people.
It sounds awfully like Asimov's law of robotics, and we know how it ended. I mean,
yep, exactly.
So do you think that, moving beyond, of course, any sort of science fiction associations, people are likely to think about Skynet, about nuclear annihilation, things like that. And people do actually have it at the back of their minds. But the more immediate concern is to get, as you've mentioned, people on board such a declaration, such a framework. So do you think that REAIM might be more successful than the American declaration? Because the American declaration, let's face it, it is aimed at restricting China's growth in this field.
Yeah, exactly.
This is supposed to be more inclusive. Will it work?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm not a fortune teller, unfortunately, but since during this conference we had representatives of 90 countries from, as you said, different regimes also, including China. So there is a chance, at least, to discuss about it, to find some possibilities, and maybe to agree on. Even to sign the agreement, even on a very, very minimal level. Every step in this discipline is a good step.
What would be the minimal level, though? Would it be about autonomous weapons, a ban of the use of AI in nuclear systems? What would you think should be within this minimum regulations?
For now, I would agree with you that these restrictions about autonomous weapon systems might be the good step, the good first step, especially that we don't, from me as an ethic, from ethical point of view, we are not able to design such a full ethical system that could help to decide about killing. I remember the case of possibility, is it possible to kill, for example, child carrying a weapon? But, well, you don't know the motivation of the child. You cannot be sure, even having a really good drone, really good AI, is it really a weapon? Or maybe it's just a toy. And so on, and so on, and so on. So this kind of restriction would be the good step, and maybe some more... Okay, let's stop here.
Well, would you agree that this degree of urgency that was implied by Henry Kissinger in the aforementioned article? I mean, we've mentioned that in the introduction earlier on. Henry Kissinger essentially suggested, and that was 2023, so shortly before he passed away, that these weapons could be even more terrifying. This technology could be even more terrifying than nuclear weapons. And I mean, he's lived through the Cold War, through the various attempts at regulating disarmament. So one should assume that he knows what he's talking about, right?
I think he was right, because we're still investigating the possibilities of AI, but also the threat. And even the South Korean Ministry of Defense, he was talking also about that this kind of AI military systems, okay, there are a chance, but also they cause a threat, even, as you said, much bigger than the regular war that we already know.
So now, moving on to the Trump-Harris debate, who do you think won this debate on the question of security alone? So we're not really addressing all the other issues that were mentioned, focusing on international policies and security. Who do you think is the winner here?
Oh, well, in general, the winner is Kamala, I believe. And we had that, I think it was a CNN that pointed out that it is 63 to 37, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I believe so. It was a flash poll shortly after the debate.
But from what she was talking, and it is really important that just before the debate, 2 days before the debate, she got a really strong support from high-range military emeritus, including Admiral Michael Smith, who served in Desert Storm, in Iraqi Freedom, in Kosovo, in Bosnia, and so on, but also other officers, including generals who served even in Vietnam. And she was shown in this document as a person, as an only candidate, quoting, able, having a capacity to be a commander-in-chief of the state, but also they underlined that she already proved before the war in the Ukraine, while talking to Zelensky, that she's able to face different challenges in military, but also in democratic world.
So that was a good starter. What about the debate itself? Do you think that she was able to fend off the attacks from Donald Trump on the issues of security?
I think she was really good in it, because Trump, well, if we remember that question asked by David Muir, do you think that Ukraine should win the war? Yeah, the war should end, said
He avoided the question.
He avoided the question. And then Muir repeated the question, is it in U.S. interest that Ukraine will win the war? He again said, it is in American interest to end the war. And of course, he was talking like previously, like in previous debate, and also during his speeches, that, yeah, it's a one call, and even if just after election, I'm able to call Putin and end the war just in 24 hours. On the other hand, and I think it was brilliant also looking for possible voters, when she said that, yeah, and you're telling this, please tell this to the 800,000 Polish Americans here in Pennsylvania, because the debate took place in Philadelphia. how quickly you'll give up in the search of favor, and how looks your friendship with a dictator that would eat you for lunch.
So that was one of the highlights of the debate, wasn't it? But some people say Trump is not revealing his plan because of strategic ambiguity. Are you convinced by arguments such as this?
In fact, no.
He didn't say anything new.
He didn't say anything new. In fact, he seemed to be a bit lost during this debate, in general, because
he did point out Nord Stream 2. I mean, Nord Stream 2 vis-à-vis President Biden, that is a thorny issue because under President Biden, they initially agreed for Nord Stream 2. So how well do you think Kamala Harris was able to react to this?
I'm not sure. Here I'm not sure, but I think that Kamala should make her steps exactly as she's doing it. Because it's a right path, and the research we had after the debate and already prove it, that her steps are reasonable right now.
So Kamala Harris has also emphasized rule-based international order and NATO as the greatest alliance the world has ever known. Trump was more ambiguous as always. One quick question. Do you think that we're likely to hear about the permission from the United States for Ukraine to use long-range weapons? There are rumors circulating that Antony Blinken...
tomorrow's visit of Antony Blinken.
Yes, that he could actually announce this. Do you think it is likely to happen finally?
I think that Ukraine really needs it if we have in mind any kind of peace negotiations. Ukraine is probably going to use the territory of Russia, the Kursk region, as a card in negotiations. And if they will have a stronger weapon, better weapon, and if they could reach Russians on their territory, the peace negotiations, as we know, needed and wanted for some of the Ukraine citizens, for most of the citizens, not by army maybe, not military. It's really, it may open the door to such negotiations. And please have in mind that just last Friday we had the talk of Scholz and Zelensky about preparations for a second peace summit.
Involving Russia this time around. Also, the presence of Iranian missiles in Russia could actually be a factor here when it comes to deciding to allow Ukraine to strike back. Magdalena M. Baran was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
And I'm You're watching TVP World. Please do stay with us.